the Garden of Eden, the original Garden of Eden, when it was all at once before the continents broke up. But in any case, there's many people that say, oh, well, they're trying to make you an outsider inside your own home. So you might have an original DNA of your ancestors might have been there thousands and thousands of years ago before any European settlers. And some people would be with European ancestry, or they might have been African themselves and then somehow got mixed up and ended up European looking after a while. Which technically all of us have. Again, we all come from the one main tribe, in which it's separated from itself. So they're telling you, well, you're an outsider when they themselves are an outsider, and you're an insider. And you're not even knowing that, well, technically your ancestors were the Native Americans or the Native American Indian, or actually from India, or from some Jewish ancestry, or some other part of Europe, and or Asian ancestry. And so the ebony man is the all man, the all over from the from origin to our present. And you can see that before Columbus, they were all they were different. Even here in America, before Columbus came, there were a different variety of tribes with different color skins. So the Europeans, many of them merged or made treaties with the lighter-skinned Indians, and would go against the darker American Indians. And in America, some had blonde hair and blue eyes, indigenous American tribes, such as the Duhair tribe that had red hair, or the Mandan tribe out of South Dakota had red and blonde hair and fair skin with blue or gray eyes. The difference is that they didn't try to mate to become one color, but a natural separation to make them enough of those physical traits to make them the entire tribe of that one particular, and plus their diet, again, where they're at, and how long a period of time where they were. And of course, there's evidence that shows, definitely at one time that the original knowledge was from one indigenous ebony tribe that was throughout the world, who had the highest degree of knowledge that was connected. But at one time, that knowledge was not only stolen, but they defeated that tribe. Hence, that tribe hasn't evolved to this day in one unison, a collective of understanding. So there are people that say, well, you're from here, but you're not from there, you're from somewhere else. So they say where you're from, but are they really asking, where are you from? Or where's your mother from? Or where's your mother's from? Or where's your mother's from? Because we all originated in the same place. We all came about this in the same place. But through all this erroneous understanding, they're making it seem like it's a you and us versus them, when it's always, there's only us. Let's get our grip together and let's stop with the bull knowledge. Let's let people reconnect like they were. And then again, not all skin folk, say not all. Not skin folk or folks, not everybody is going to be in one unison because of your skin color, because that skin color is all over. So there's different tribes that hate you because you're that tribe, and then there's another guy who's ignorant and says, well, I'm the same color as you, I'm going to trust you, when in reality they're trying to stab you in the back. So they're not all ebony tribes don't have the same understanding, nor do they want to be compatible with you. Just like all European tribes aren't compatible, and nor do they want to be friendly with one another. So the only unison or separation of ourselves is due to our structure. And again, the structure is everywhere, and it falls on everything, and it's the way all works, and it's all one, unless you want to divide. But then that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. It was and is not a race thing, but an original genome or tribe thing. And that's what creates a separation, especially in war, because it's easier in war to say, okay, well, it's the blacks versus the whites, so you can see in the battlefield from far away. Some people just use the outfits, blue versus red. And then you got people who like to just kill and join the other side. If the other side's winning, they'll change the whole uniform. Some people are sneaky like that. But in any case, some people will be like, oh, because he's black, I'm going to be kin with him, I'm going to be cool with him. When in reality, he's just trying to be cool with you, but he's not your people. So, so again, not all colored folks or certain colored folk is your skin folk, is your peoples. So these some people get fooled and be like, well, they're gonna take oh, well, because this guy was a dark skin from that far away 20,000 years ago, I'm gonna be how do you say, I'm going to take pride in what he did because of his skin color. But then again, if their child had done something great, but he came out light-skinned, then are you not going to be proud? And then after a amount of years, you're thinking, oh, well, that guy's from another tribe, meaning another skin color, when in reality, that was your great-great-grandfather, and you're an ebony man. So that's why you need to know the way this works in order to find out. As we continue on this lesson, you'll begin to get the fuller comprehension of it. Again, you want the knowledge to flow. You don't want to be point this and point that and point that with no points and no overall point. You want the point from A to Z to match up so you can look at it and say, yeah, see, I see it. Yeah, okay. I get what you're talking about. As we continue on this journey now, wait, I'm going to show you how deep this goes, because when I learned it, then you really begin to open your eyes and you begin to understand. Put it this way: with these structures, if any particular tribe in anywhere on this planet had used a structure that was superior and it was connected to the highest understanding, then that particular tribe, let's just supposedly hypothetically say, okay, the ebony man of America had a good sense of morals, great sense of work ethics, very creative, very knowledgeable, very loyal, very loving, very strong, very confident. And if they all focused, or for every ebony person in America say, we're going to focus on these things, we're going to focus on our culture, we're going to focus on our society, we're going to focus on our families, we're going to be loving, we're going to care for one another, and then somebody will come to you and they'll be like, oh, well, he's a ebony man, and they'll be like, wait a minute, what tribe is he from? And they'll be like, oh, he's the ebony American tribe, and then that'll carry weight. They'll be like, wait a minute. Now then you'll see that all ebony folk ain't skin folk. You're gonna be like, people be fighting in the streets. They'll be like, no, I want to marry that girl. No, he's gonna work for me. No, she's gonna work for me. No, I'll give her $1,000. No, I'll give her $2,000 an hour or whatever. This is the kind of respect you're gonna get, and once the people know that you are a connected, strong, beautiful tribe like you ought to be, or can be, if you choose to be. But if you have the opposite effect where people are portraying themselves as, people that just like to live in ghettos, people that like to disrespect one another, people that like to yell at their children, "You black ass nipper, what the hell are you doing? I'll beat the hell out of you." How are you going to talk like that to the 2-year-old child? Now, you don't want to get up in that woman's face, because most likely that's the best chance that little girl or little boy has to do with that parent. I mean, you may try to, straighten it out, right? And if you're smart, you can do it 1 or 2 words, but not really disrespecting her, but not really saying, you're doing a good job. Just putting it on her, well, she'd be like, "Damn, what that guy just what that guy just?" And with any luck, she'll treat that little baby a little differently. But when you have this going back, again, it gets deeper. We'll go through every rabbit hole there is, and not, the same rabbit hole, but it's the negative rabbit hole and how it separates and how it splinters in order to creating a better and smarter you and knowing exactly who you are. In which they don't want you to be like that, but yet they're using that against you. A long time ago, it was the lighter skin individual that would kill the ebony man, just blatantly hang him and kill him. But then eventually they'd be like, "Why do that?" And we get all the beef with it when they could just do that to themselves. So then they get these people in which they're still orchestrating it, but except they're paying these people. So these are paid actors in order to deliberately backstab you. And usually they don't live in your neighborhood. They just show up to be like, "Oh yeah," out of nowhere. They're not in it for the projects. They just show up, "Hey, I want to represent you, and here's a couple of dollars here and there. You guys want some, just pennies on a dollar." And it's like, "Won't you vote for me? And I can look out for you." But then they're paying you to backstab your own people. So you don't really have a people, although you try to look like you have a people and you're getting along. So somebody could say, that guy did something wrong to me, and you over here get 100,000 people to go over there and fight and get your head blown off because you're in the wrong, because that guy was telling you to fight those other people because he was being bad. So now you're perpetuating a double, triple negatives on these. So now you're looking like a monster. So the one guy was kicking around a little kid, and the little kid's daddy went out and said, "Hey, stop it!" And you didn't want to stop it, and he hit you a couple of times, and then you go crying to a mob, and then the mob comes back, and then their mob comes back, and then they're making you look like, "See, these dark people are animals. Look at them. They're all," because you cease to get connected. But if you were all connected, again, it goes deeper. We're going to go into Black Wall Street, and we're going to show you how it worked and where it went south. And all this is all a matter of points that adds up to a flow, and it's the overall view that shows you the exact truth, as opposed to somebody showing you one point that's manipulated or deceptive or erroneous, and then you're following that on a false principle. So from the beginning you were wrong, and from the ending you were wrong. Even if you ended up killing a million innocent women and children and babies, saying you were justified in your mind, the truth and the overall truth is you was wrong because you listened to the wrong guy from the get-go, and then you were wrong continuing in a negative, and then here you are, you're thinking you're right, and then God's going to come in and say, "Well, vengeance is mine," and next thing you know, everybody who had something to do with that were all massively killed, and they're believing like you, saying, "Well, we're right because they were animals." They're saying they were right, but you were animals. But where did it originate from? Don't be ready to run into war when you don't know all exactly how things work. as opposed to being those who are deceived by other people, and they don't know the way things work. So they're going to believe in anything, and if you believe in anything, you're going to fall for anything, and you indeed are nothing but a subservient of whatever you're leading to, and not of good, but of evil. And then you're wondering, well, why are we in pain? Why are we suffering? But then once you start to realize it, you awaken from that. Even your enemies, they get mad because they'll be like, hey, man, these guys are they're not following for our crap anymore. These guys are smartening up, and which means that then they either got to join them or let you just surpass them because you know the code now. See, everybody's following the code, but the question is are you following the right code? Or are you following some bullcrap code that you're going to get slain from, and rightly so, because you're doing things and behaving in such a manner that is not of your ethereal stature. In other words, just like a man thinking that he's a dog. So he goes around peeing, and he's always naked, and he's just pooping all over, and then arguing with other dogs. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to figuring out if somebody come to him and, had taught him somebody had obviously taught him as a baby from that. But if you teach him from a baby, once you learn, you stop your ways. We're going to go into that. Again, everything is just a bounce. Follow the bouncing ball. By the end of it, you'll either have been mastered or you'd have either destroyed yourself, because there's no other route once you begin to see the light. So you see again how these tribes begin to separate it, and some have darker hair. That's why you have some ebony people with straight hair. So you have a whole tribe of ebony people, and none of them with curly hair. They all have straight hair. But you have a whole tribe of light-skinned people with all curly hair. They all got curly hair and afros, the whole tribe, but they're all European-looking. So some Europeans have all blonde hair. Some Europeans have much of it, much red hair. Some Europeans have dark hair. Some Europeans, you're wondering if they're light or ebony. You can't really tell. They're European and they're classified as white, but sometimes you look at them and you're like, wait a minute, where is he? What side of the road is he really? I'm not going to say who, but you can figure out some of them, and people know, because every man will be like, yeah, there's some soul in that character. They know they got the flow of the light of soul. They got soul. I don't care what your skin color. You look at some people and say, yeah, that brother got soul. So anyway, so these people are all looking at the way you look instead of understanding how things and work throughout times. So Caucasians are not always, again, fair skin. They come in a large variety of colors. They come from the light pink to the light red, and to tan, and to even darker chocolate colors. So it's a scale that the humans work on, and these textures and varieties, and as I explained, how these things work out throughout the time. So, some people say that, well, there's basically like three major races, but they're tribes that, and again, when you see exactly what I'm talking about, they expand into a larger classification, because some people say, well, there's the Caucasoid, the Mongoloid, and the Negroid, but it is the Mongoloid, or the middle of which these three, even in Africa and other tribes, they're all there. You don't got to go to Europe. You go to Africa and you can see some of the tribes that have a variety. And some way up in the mountains, and they created one color. Now, of course, there's some people that go into Noah, and again, it goes deeper than Noah. You go back to the Egyptians, or back there, and back to the beginning of man. But the Bible was very well orchestrated, especially the Hebrew Bible. It's a time machine going back because then you find the oldest literature, and then you find the Bible, and then you can see the correlation, but the words and how it's structured, and only for those of the wisest who could actually read it without having been put through all the deception and interpretation of something that is not only erroneous, but it follows a deeper ignorance. So they have these different colors, and of these Homo sapiens involved in darker skin, while some were lighter skin, making this comparison null and void when you actually get to the heart of the matter. And when you have come to the conclusion of comparison with us and other animals, you see that we were not derived